Hello and welcome to the Trip-Cap Call of Duty League podcast, where we keep you guessing. On this show, we look at the upcoming Florida Home Series, and we have an interview with the Dallas Empire's Clayster, who's going to give us lowdown on their big win in the Chicago Home Series. All this and more on the Trip-Cap.
No, we won't back down, gonna fight till the end. Our honor comes first every time. Gonna stand up straight with our hand on our heart. Gonna right every wrong that we find.
Well, my name is Miles Ross. I'm your host, as per usual, on the Trip-Cap until I get sick, and hey, who knows, it may be eventual at this point. But I am joined, of course, by Momo and Chance. Chance, again, it's your second episode here. Thank you so much for filling in. Benson is still out of action, but mate, I know it's your second episode. You're a little new here, but we're on camera the whole time, mate. You can't just wander off. You can't just go. What's going on there, mate?
Sorry, what episode is this for you, Miles? I know this is my second.
I honestly have no idea. I think this is the fourth episode,
Okay.
fifth episode. I have no idea.
Fourth or fifth. I might walk off camera, but at least I don't film half the podcast with my OBS muted, so we have to do it all again.
I'm sorry, it was a mistake.
I make mistakes that impact me, not everyone.
It's true. You're right. You're right. It's true.
He did. I'm right here. I'm backing him up. Chance is right. Miles is an idiot.
You're supposed to have my back, boys.
I'm doing fine, by the way, Miles. I'll just answer that one quickly.
We're just going to go to the next
second
segment.
time recording. I'm doing great, Miles. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing good now, mate. I'm doing good now that we have not muted my recording. But boys, we've got the Florida Home Series coming up. It's going to be a good one. Obviously, Chicago was amazing to watch. It was so exciting. Games were lit. But Chance, tell me anything that's on your radar. What are you looking forward to about the upcoming Florida Home Series?
At least right off the rip, I think my favorite first-round matchup is going to be between New York and Toronto, purely because their storylines are almost the exact same. The last time we saw New York play, they lost to what? It was Chicago and Atlanta. They only lost to the best teams in the world. They looked pretty good while doing it, very competitive, throw Game 5 in the mix. Like, they looked respectable, and we expect them to get better. Then for Toronto, the last tournament we saw them play, they lost to Dallas and they lost to Florida, and they also beat Florida in the same series. The same home series tournament. I love the language we have, but they had the exact same thing. They only lost the very best competition in the world, the tournament winners, and now they've had an extra couple weeks to look over the gameplay and even watch the subliners play and make sure they write down all the strats. So I think people are a little bit higher on the subliners, but Toronto have almost the exact same type of story working for them and a little bit more time to prepare, plus just generically get better. So I think it'll be a banger of a first series.
Now, I'm interested to see what Toronto roster we get. What combination of those 10 players will be that starting lineup? And can New York keep that consistency going, dude? Okay, Phil, what about you, bro?
I think I'm very excited to see the Mutineers back. It's obviously their home series. We get to see these guys play. Last time they were here, they won. Can they continue that? Can they be that superstar roster? Very excited for just to see that squad. On another side, Paris is back, like Chance outlined, New York, Toronto, good storylines. Well, I think what's so kind of special about this weekend is our top two right now in Chicago and Dallas, I believe on points. I might be wrong there, but Chicago and Dallas aren't here. It's going to be obviously Atlanta's to kind of take, but it's going to be a chance for someone else to maybe make that grand final. Maybe Paris make an impact, London with a new look. These guys just lost 2 on the bounce with a very tough group. I think it's all up in the air, but overall, just excited to see some of these teams back and playing and seeing who is in that grand final.
Well, there we go. Very exciting things to look forward to this weekend. What are you looking forward to most? Let us know in the comments or tweet any of us here on the Trip-Cap. Well, before we get into our interview with Clayster coming up next, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
The verdict is in, and the verdict is paid. Here at Mutineers and Associates Law Offices, we fight to right your wrongs. Injured in a car wreck on Verdansk? Fall off the map on Azir Cave? Lost to the LA Gorillas? So call 1-888. Ox is law, and your opponents will be walking the plank in no time. X marks the spot on Mutineers and Associates, Florida's only pirate-themed arbiters of justice. Because here at Mutineers and Associates, we don't break the law, we are law. So call now, and we will search and destroy your legal issues. Arr.
Terms do not apply if you are from Chicago, a Chicago Huntsman fan, or if your name is Scum, Formal, Arsty Scummers, Envoy, or Hex.
So now we have Clayster of the Dallas Empire on the show. Clay, welcome to your first and probably not your last time here on the Trip-Cap, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Good, mate. No, it's a joy to have you on, to be completely frank. We've got a ton of questions. We'll start right at the tippity top. Congratulations on the win. what was it like, man? Give us a rundown on the tournament in general from you guys, from the team's perspective. But yeah, what was it like?
It was a good time. I mean, we're making the best out of a bad situation, like pretty much everyone around the world right now. And, to put in practice every single day and then to come out victorious after a tournament, a pretty hard tournament at that. It feels good. It just feels rewarding that, the time and the effort that we put in is, it's worth something.
That's a cool way of putting it. We noticed Krim going in on almost everyone about the kind of slack attitude that a lot of people are having around this time. It's like, your job's to play Call of Duty, your job's to talk about Call of Duty, do your job. I mean, are you noticing anyone else around the scene who's maybe checked out because of the situation we're in, or?
For sure. I mean, I think it's a tough time for a lot of people, including myself. I mean, just dealing with your mental health during times like this and your physical health, and with everything going on in the world around you, it's kind of hard to stay focused on a video game. And I know it's kind of weird to say because it is our job and it is what we get paid to do, but it's still sometimes a little bit difficult to hold yourself accountable because, everybody's at home and you kind of have to be the one to hold yourself accountable and make sure, you're giving effort every day and you're on time and you have the motivation. So it's definitely, I can see how some players would definitely check out a bit, but thankfully our team has been present at each and every single practice and just making sure we get better every day.
I was going to talk a little bit about practice. Just one of my questions kind of leading up to that was, how's the scrims change from when you're a pro player, you're scrimming for a tournament and, let's just say before LA, you would go into a LAN to now these scrims and these custom lobbies or private matches, whatever it is. Like, how's that different now that it's online and it's basically like a tournament game? Is there anything different? Are you guys, or maybe pro players in general, kind of taking it more seriously? What differs from kind of preparing to a tournament on LAN and preparing to a tournament that is going to be in this very same setting?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective that I haven't really thought about too much. I think that one of the things we did as a team is just made a rule like no more complaining about online. Like no matter what host we're on, no matter where we're at in practice, like it's hard for us because we're 4 in Texas right now, and Illy went back home to Toronto. So often, and when I say often, I mean like 95% of the time, we're playing off hosts on a Florida, a DC, Kansas, wherever it may be. So it ends up being, not in our advantage quite a lot of the time. And that's something that's kind of preparing us for these online tournaments and these home series is because, sometimes you're going to be on a host that's going to be a little bit away from you. There's some of the servers that are going to be, across the United States that you're going to have to play on. And so just making it a rule, like, let's never explain why we die. Like I got, BS or whatever it is. Like, let's just take it and just play because this is what we're playing on in the tournament. So as much as we want to complain and as much as it's kind of ingrained in Call of Duty players to complain about online, I think that us as a team have just made sure to like put that to a minimum, make sure we're always at a disadvantage when we're practicing so that when we do get on quote unquote equal footing in a tournament setting, we actually have like a bit of an advantage just because we're used to playing, on 120 ping. So when it gets lower and it gets closer, it feels like, you're taking the training weights off the baseball bat per se. So it's definitely a unique experience. Yeah.
I mean, like, to me, that sounds like you're just taking every opportunity to kind of add to like a competitive edge. And something I heard you talk about, Nameless had a podcast a few days ago, whenever it was, and he asked you the question, who do you think the best player in the game is without bias? And you said GodRx. And you just got laughter as a response. And I think the laughter hints at like, I don't know if it's your character or like the mind games that you played, but it wasn't treated as that being like your serious, legitimate answer. It was treated as you were playing mind games looking for a competitive edge. So I'm curious, do you ever turn that switch off or are you always playing some sort of mind game?
It gets turned off sometimes, especially to like my real life. And it's so weird saying in real life friends, because I just assume like every one of my COD friends is a COD friend, So, when I'm talking with my siblings and my friends from back home and stuff, I can actually open up and not be playing mind games all the time. But when you're a competitor, and especially in a game decided by milliseconds, any little edge that you can take, you're going to take. And so I'm always aware of that, always definitely very, very aware of that, and making sure that the things I say, sometimes I just blurt things out, but a lot of times there's some calculation behind it.
I love that, Clay. Chance was talking about Sun Tzu in the background, The Art of War. Have you read that, Clay, by any chance?
Of course I have.
Machiavelli,
Nice.
that ring a bell?
He said, "Yeah, this is gold, dude." Have you read that? The other one I strongly recommend if you haven't already, but the Book of Five Rings by Musashi Miyamoto is another banger.
I have not read that one.
Turning
I'll check
yourself
it out.
into a living weapon. Oh wow, we're getting carried away here. So we talked about bitching online. That's a lot of fun. Dude, what's quarantine life been like for you? We touched on this a tiny bit on the CDL broadcast, but like you talked about physical and mental health. What are you doing? I'm doing a lot of yoga. I'm not kidding when I say that. I get up almost every day and stretch. I'm trying to eat really clean. But is there anything you're doing in particular?
So honestly, as gamers, and especially the kind of person I am, quarantine life in general hasn't changed too much from like my normal life. Obviously this year we've started going into the NV headquarters and practicing from there. So there is a bit of like we changed and now we're changing back. But it's not something that I'm not used to. But I have noticed, in the past couple of weeks, I've just been definitely a little irritable and just felt like really cooped up and just a little stir crazy. So one of the main things I've been focused on, and I really don't exercise very often, and I know a lot of people are going to rag on me for that, but I've just never really exercised regularly. And just doing a little 5-10 minutes a day, like some YouTube videos I've found improves like my day drastically. I found that I'm much happier and I feel much more relaxed throughout the day. And I make sure to take my dog for a walk for 10-15 minutes a day just to get outside and get some sun, because I realized it'd been like 2 weeks since I had been outside, and it was like, okay, I need to like start going outside and I need to start walking around. And so just making some time for yourself. And then obviously I live with my girlfriend, and so I've just been making sure that relationships can get a little testy when you're cooped in the house up with each other. And so I've just been making sure to spend some time with her and just one-on-ones, and making sure that, we're appreciative of each other's presence and just getting us to a good mental balance, because I definitely felt myself going a little off the deep end a little bit after like the first month. But now I've found a couple ways to cope with that. And honestly, it's been helping a lot.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it sounds like you've found a little bit of secret info, which hopefully, obviously, the viewers can take as well. Bringing it back to the game, my final question, which was, I know champs, you've been thinking every single one now, so you've kind of been through so many rosters at champs. We're a little bit off that now, but where does this Dallas roster that you are currently a part of, where does that kind of stack up going up against other kind of championship rosters that you've been a part of, and how confident are you with this team? I think the obvious answer is you're never going to be, and I know you're not going to be part of a team that you're not kind of confident with. But how does this one stack up against others, whether that be chemistry or whether that be skill, or, what's it like, playing with this team and kind of going towards champs? How does it stack up against previous rosters that you've had?
That's also a pretty unique question. I think one of the biggest aspects of this Dallas Empire team that has me really excited to go into, COD Champs this year is the fact that I don't think we're anywhere near hitting the potential of Hook, Illy, and Shotzi. I still think that they have quite a bit to go before they hit their ceiling. And for them to be performing it the way they are already, it makes me like really like giddy almost. Just because like if they're already playing this good, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in a couple months when they've gotten some more experience under their belt and some more reps under their belt. I think that the progress we've seen, especially from Illy and Shotzi, they'd never played a professional COD on LAN. And it's one of the things where to see them every single day get better. And I'm not joking when I say that. I mean, every single day I see them improve bit by bit by bit. It's awesome, like gamer minds. And it's something that I just love being around, because I don't have to explain myself more than once. Usually it's one of the things where they're now picking up on other people's tendencies. I don't have to point it out. They're like, oh, we're playing against this guy. He's never hopping the bomb in a clutch situation. And this guy's always going to flank. And they're kind of getting the lay of the land in terms of how COD pros play. So, this one's definitely up there. This roster, I think, is going to be able to compete with the best of the best, especially this year. And I think the competition this year is probably the hardest and the best competition we've had all year. I think there's so many really talented teams, and even some towards the bottom of the standings that, like they're one piece away from being a juggernaut. So just really keeping it day by day, and hopefully these guys keep going out there and performing. I mean, I think we're 2 for 3 or 2 for 4 in events right now. So we got a 50% win rate as a team, and that's not too bad.
It's wild to kind of, when you say that about the players, obviously, you've been in COD now for so long, to think it's their first COD, or it was their first LAN COD event, and they were playing with who they were representing. It's kind of bizarre that these guys were just kind of thrown into the top spot, if you like, but they seem to be handling it better, and like you said, getting better every single time. To see improvements of individuals like this so fast is kind of crazy, but I'm excited to see what their potential is, I'm not going to lie.
Dude, we were saying this at the start of the year again, Clay. Like, you did it again. You found the next two disgusting, twisted youngsters, and you grabbed them, dude. Well done. You've done it again.
Yeah, I've got a formula now. If it isn't apparent, there's a formula to the madness for sure.
Hell yeah, dude. No,
It's going to start getting tougher after this year to find those new guys, though.
Yeah, dude, you scouting at all times. I love it. Chance, you have any more questions, or we can roll on to our next little segment with Clay?
The last one I got is like a little out of left field. I don't know how much it exists in esports, let alone like Call of Duty, but what's the weirdest pre-match ritual you've seen from any player? Maybe yourself.
Love that.
Because I played baseball for a long time, and baseball has some weird kids that play that game. So we've had a couple strange ones. I don't know if Call of Duty has the same type deal.
Call of Duty's not like, I don't know too many people who have like some ridiculous pregame ritual. I mean, obviously there's like music and stuff like that, but that's not too crazy. I mean, I know Krim's got his hand thing, which that could be one of them. But
are we all doing it?
Yeah,
I was doing it.
I'm doing
it. But yeah, I mean, not at least on my teams that I've seen. I know some people are a little superstitious about what they eat and even me in a way. Definitely want certain things in the morning before I play, and I found that one of the things that I've carried over from Black Ops 2 until now is I know that if I shower right before a match, I perform way better. So these online tournaments are actually really awesome for that, because I can just head upstairs, take a quick shower, come back down. I'm taking like 4 showers a day, but it's like
in between every match.
Yeah.
Next time there's like a 15-minute delay before Game 5. Clay's in the shower. He'll be right back. About to drop 15. Not a problem.
And honestly, Kyler did that in London. He before one of, I think, finals, he went in one of the showers in the copper box and took a shower. So maybe that's wearing off on them a little bit.
That's a good move.
Fun little fact. I like it.
Yeah, because we could have those. That whole backstage area was massive there. But dude, I think the idea about superstitions as well, and like thinking about what you eat and thinking about how you perform. And so, I mean, all we're doing is accumulating data, and all you can do is apply that data to how you performed, and then look back on it. I think it's a very reasonable way to approach this. So good on you, man. Okay, Clay, thank you very much for answering those questions. Now it's time to roll into a brand new segment here on the Tripcap. We're calling the CDL Gulag. Now I'm going to give you 3 names. We're going to do 3 rounds as well. So you get to pick the one person who would make it out of the Gulag. And I'm not talking about the Gulag we find in Warzone. I'm talking about the real thing. A hard-hitting Russian prison. One person makes it out. Are you ready?
Sure, let's do this. Jeez.
Okay, round 1. Who makes it out of the Gulag? Simp, Abizi, or Major Maniac?
Oh, Major Maniac, 100%. Simp and Abizi are chalked. They're not. They're not making it a day in a Russian prison. I think Major Maniac, just because he got his name Major Maniac. His dad was a major in the army, or some military branch. I'm not sure. And I definitely think he's got some prisoner of war experience going on in there. He could get something to keep him in there. I think Major Maniac, 100%.
I think I like that answer. Major Maniac and his dad, we're friends on Facebook. I kid you not. I kid you not. He's a serious man.
Who added Major?
He added me. Dude.
Wait, isn't he like a colonel? Colonels
family.
have Facebook pages?
I think he's a lieutenant colonel. Yeah.
What the heck?
He got the
When you
promotion.
DM'd me on
Hey,
Twitter,
congrats.
I genuinely thought I was getting DM'd by someone really in the middle, and I was like, "Oh, it's Major Maniac's dad," and he was just saying "well done" over a cast or something. But we met his whole family.
Oh, it was great.
Clay's
His whole
right
family was good in Atlanta. It was really good. Okay, wait. Back to the Gulag. Round 2.
Okay.
Crim 6, Karma, Scump.
Ooh, that's a
Ooh.
tough
The Battle
one.
of the Rings.
That actually is kind of
Yeah.
tough.
That's a tough one. Honestly, I would have to go with Krim. I think Krim is just the right amount of crazy that a Gulag wouldn't phase him. I think he'd be in his element. I think he's gonna find a way to escape, befriend a guard or something. Something's gonna happen with Krim there. I'll give that one to Krim.
Porterhouse. I can see it now. It's like Shawshank Redemption, where he's like crawling through the mud to get out.
He would do whatever it takes. He's watched a lot of
He's a
war
champion.
movies, man.
He's a champion. All right, good. Last round, and probably the most difficult. Momo, Chance, and Miles.
I gotta go with Momo on this one. I'm sorry, guys. I think Momo's got the physical prowess to get him out of the gulag. I think he's gonna have an easier time dealing with the physical altercations that's gonna happen in there.
He's got loose lips. He's got loose lips. He'll be dead in a day. He'll be
Doing
dead in a day.
push-ups doesn't mean you can fight. That is ridiculous.
He wouldn't last a minute on the yard. He wouldn't last a minute.
You picked the softest of the three of us by a mile.
Sometimes
I've survived Australia.
Sometimes soft and sweet works in prisons, right? I'm just,
Whoa!
I'm a good guy.
You know what? We're just going to cut it there.
Yeah,
Clay, thank
three
you
right
so
answers.
much.
I agree with you.
Clay, great
is a
interview,
champ.
man.
Great interview, Clay. Thank you so much for doing the interview. And thank you so much for participating in the very first ever CDL Gulag.
So soft
No worries,
and
Joe.
sweet.
Soft and sweet. A huge thanks to Clayster for coming on the show and chatting to us. Guy's been a busy boy this week, but he has got a lot of time to put his feet up and enjoy himself before they will be seen next here in the CDL. Right, fellas, I think it's time now to look at our own predictions for what we're going to be seeing in the upcoming Florida Home Series. Momo, we'll start with you, bro. Where are we going? Group A.
Group A, Toronto, New York, Florida, and Minnesota. If I'm thinking of two teams that are coming out of this one, I'm stuck. I don't know where to go. I'll be honest. I think it's going to be a very interesting one. If I'm put on the spot, I think Mutineers and Minnesota. These are the two teams that are in the top 5 right now. I think New York have been, improved tremendously. I don't think Toronto are in my kind of inkling to go with. They don't draw my attention. I'm not seeing anything special from them. But again, I pointed out at the very start of the show that this is going to be an exciting one to watch, mainly because of Dallas and Chicago not being here, that anything can happen. I really think that is the case. I'm pretty confident Minnesota make this out. If we see the same Florida, of course, these guys are going to come through, and that's where I'm edging towards. I think if I've got to pick two from Group A, it's got to be the Mutineers and Minnesota.
I like it. I like it. Toronto, I don't know what to expect. Subliners, if they can honestly continue the way they were going at the Chicago Huntsmen Series.
They look really good.
Have they improved, though? Have they improved? Chance, what do you think about Group B, my friend?
Group B is... All right, I'm going to backtrack for a second, and I'm going to go for the spicy one. I don't think Florida is making it out of Group A, just to give my 2 cents. I think it's going to be Minnesota, New York. Then for Group B, though, just because I wanted to be spicy, but I can't with this group, I think it's going to be London and FaZe. I want to be spicy and pick maybe a Paris or an Optic, but I just don't see it. I could very well see London getting upset by somebody, but I still think they're the better team. I think FaZe is number 1 in that pool. I think London's number 2. I don't quite trust London enough to guarantee get those wins, but it's not enough faith in the lack of trust or whatever for me to not I can't go spicy. I want to, I can't. FaZe in London. There it is.
But I'm with you there. I think if FaZe don't make it out of that group, or if they even lose to Paris, I think that's a really big upset. But in the current form London is at, in theory, they should smash Optic. The way they played against Chicago and the way they played against FaZe last event, they should, in theory, take Optic down 3-1, 3-0.
I think we're all in the same boat. I think we're looking at FaZe getting out of there. Yeah, of course. We're probably all taking FaZe to win the championship. But London right now, I think, are the best team out of the other 3, but we don't quite trust them. You kind of don't know what to expect. We've seen them throw away Hardpoints. We've seen them throw away Search and Destroys. I think they are the better team than Optic and Paris. But I think, honestly, I was saying this before the show, when I looked at Group B, it's Atlanta, I think they're through. And I think that's going to be quite clean cut. But it wouldn't surprise me if any of the other 3 join them. On the day, Paris have been a great team. We've seen what Kismet, Zed, whatever can do. OGLA, they're kind of like a coin flip at the moment, but we've seen them scrimming with Chino. We've seen these guys online. I don't know whether that's going to be a change. I'm not sure.
I know. Every time I see that, I text Mud Dog and I'm like, what's starting roster? And he's like, nothing's changing. I'm like, give me the dirt, man. Give me the dirt.
And honestly, it just wouldn't surprise me. Only surprise for me would be if Atlanta don't make it.
Yeah. It would be a big surprise for sure. Chance, I want to go back to your pick that the Mutineers don't make it out. Do you think it's going to be a loss of Rocker and then a loss of the Subliners? How do you think that goes? Or do you think they lose to Toronto?
Did you say something about rosters for him?
What?
I have no idea what you said. You said something about Mutineers. You said, is there a roster spot?
Am I speaking too fast? Sorry, let me slow this one down. Sorry, I'm used to Ben being able to pick up on all my British
yes.
very quickly. All right. I want to go back to you and the idea that the Florida Mutineers do not make it out of Group A, that they are fallen twice by their opponents. Can you elaborate on that? Who do you think will be the opponents? Obviously, the Rocker first, but who do you think will be the next team to beat them?
I feel like I'm back in school again. I have like
Great
a British
tale.
professor like breaking down for me, making fun of me for being slow. I think Minnesota takes Florida down in round 1, and then I think New York just beats them, or like whoever beats them. I don't know if it counts as disrespect because obviously Florida just won the last tournament that they were a part of, got to semifinals the one before, but I am not convinced at all with this team of being like a solidified top dog. Obviously, they've convinced me that they are capable of winning a tournament, but not necessarily consistently beating the best teams in the world because it's still a little bit fresh with the new man on the roster. They're almost there. Like if they have success in this tournament, I will be outright convinced they're great. But I've heard so much chatter about the subliners being even better than what we saw like the 2 weeks ago at the last home series event. So I'm very high on the subliners, have very high expectations. And then obviously Minnesota, I mean, they've been a top dog from the get-go. So I give Minnesota the edge in that series. And it's literally just the faith I've heard in the chatter for subliners that I think they're going to be the second team to come out.
Wow, that's fun. I think that's going to be
I
exciting.
can see where chance is coming from too. Again, because the first matchup is Toronto versus New York, right? And Mutineers versus Rocker. So again, with that matchup, when you look at the 4 names, I think it's quite. I kind of looked at the 4 names and thought, Mutineers and Minnesota. But when it's the actual bracket like that, I can see why chance as well is looking at New York. I think New York do beat Toronto, and I think Minnesota do beat Florida. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. That Group A is one to watch for sure.
I just keep thinking back to the standings we have. Like the top 5 teams, anyone in those top 5 teams could beat anyone right now. And that even with FaZe, everyone thinks that FaZe are definitely a stronger team in some regards. But like top 5: Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, Minnesota, Florida. All of those teams can beat each other.
Here's a prediction for you, Miles.
Right,
Sim breaks his record again in Group B somewhere.
We got to make another commercial then. Okay, go on.
That's my prediction. I think we see another 50 bomb from Sim.
You think? I think he could get more. I think he could get more because if you watch that game back, there are times where he got assists. There are times where he lost gunfights. Like he could honestly go for a few more.
And that's for sure.
In an easier series, in his Group B, like let's say maybe Paris, if they're not playing great, or Optic, if FaZe are really feeling themselves and lose to them, you could almost let Simp go and just be like, hey man, that first Hardpoint. Let him off the leash. And let him run wild and let him try and break the 50. Let him try and do it. Just for the keks. Just the toppest of keks.
The only problem which I see happening is they might kind of bomb out a couple of these teams. And to get that 50, sometimes you got a close, 250 to 235 game. And I don't think these hardpoints will last that long. So
that's why you give it to map one.
Prediction.
It's like you let that one go in the name of science, in the name of trying to break the record. But it's a gamble. It's a gamble in a tournament.
I like it.
Yeah, give him a couple of seconds. It's a gamble in a hard point. But that is that, boys. I think if there's anything else you want to say, let it be said. Chance, thank you again, bro, for being on the show. You're a champion. You're a legend.
I would say I don't think Sim's going to break the hardpoint record. Maybe like Search or Dom. He'll mix it up just a little bit. Show us something new.
I actually DM'd Simp, right? I actually DM'd Simp. I said to him, listen, we know you can run the sub. We know you can snipe. What are the chances of seeing Simp run an M4? And he was like, yo, I'm nasty with the M4. And my reaction was like, next time you match up against LAG, no disrespect, maybe just run the M4 on. And he was like, I used to run the M4 on Dom. And he was like getting into it. He was like excited about it. I was like, I don't know. I think the fans would like to see that. But I think I don't think it will happen. I would love to see it. But it's just the versatility of Simp, which I think is so special, which is when he snipes in Search and Destroy, when he's on the leaderboards for kind of highest KD, and they're all assault rifle players I was highlighting on social media, and then there's just Simp right in the middle. But yeah, I think I would certainly like to see Simp run an AR.
Dude, I would like to see Simp run a snipe and respawn. Do you remember that clip I got in the playlist like months and months ago?
Disgusting. The best clip I've ever seen.
Breaking P2 on Hackney. He responded just being like, boys, let me whip out an AX and just go for it. And I was like, can you imagine like someone who's genuinely brilliant at the game trying to do something like that? I think it'd be pretty cool. All right, boys, that's enough of our predictions. We've got some weird stuff out there. I would love to know what you guys think again. Let us know in the comments on the wall below or send us some tweets. Gentlemen, it's time now for Miles' Mailbag. Okay, boys, here we go. We're going to start this one. Chance, this is a question I will give to you first.
Sweet.
Outside of Simp, what player do you think, will have the biggest impact at the Florida Home Series?
Any
player. Outside of Sim, any player. Who's having the biggest impact?
The first thing that came to mind was Mac Melts, but I think the impact is more like a team thing rather than like the individual having the in-game impact. So I'll mix it up and I'll go Zuma. I'll say Zuma, I'm expecting him to come out and fry, put up numbers in the respawn, especially start dropping bombs in the search and destroy, because I think that's the one thing the subliners really needed to kind of kick into the next gear, which obviously preparation, yada, yada, comes for that. But Zuma is the guy I'm looking at. I'll give him all the gas the Stallion needs.
That's pretty cool. Phil, who is the biggest, which individual player is going to have the biggest impact at the Florida Home Series?
I think this player will push this team to the final. And I'm going to go pretty standard. I'm going to go with GodRx for Minnesota. I think he'll have another consistent, strong performance. I know he gets a lot of the credit for Rocker, and a couple of the players, whether it be Sealy or Asim, kind of go unnoticed, and, you know, GodRx gets a lot of the limelight, but he's just consistent. And watching him play is so... It's beautiful. It's beautiful. We love to see GodRx go off, drop some big bombs, and I think... he's actually going to be the player to kind of push this team to that final. I can see it being Rocker versus Atlanta.
I like it, Phil. I was going to pick GodRx, but I'm going to now go for my complete under-the-radar Dark Horse pick. The player I think is going to have the biggest impact is going to be Major Maniac off FaZe. Major Maniac got a lot of flack at the last event for his stats. To the point where he had to tweet out about it, like, guys, numbers aren't everything. They really aren't. What he does on the team is far more valuable than, you know, picking up kills on flanks. 50 bombs don't matter if you're only winning Hardpoints by 20 points, whatever. Major Maniac for me, 110%. I think he's going to have the biggest impact. I think he's got a lot to prove. I just hope he doesn't try to go outside of his role within the team or role within the actual game in those moments to try to do something that's going to get the fans off his back, because I think that could be a worse detriment to the team. But I don't know. I just want to see Major Maniac find that success, and I think he shall, which is going to lead to a very, very dangerous phase. All right, boys, question number 2. What do you think is in the secret Verdansk bunker? I have some tinfoil hat theories, but I'm curious to what you think. In brackets, my money is on aliens. Phil, what is in the bunkers in Verdansk?
I could say so many things here. Probably things that I want to be in there.
What do you want? What do you want?
I think there's this... I can't say that.
Do it. Do it,
I can't
Phil.
say that.
Do it.
Certain things cannot be said, Miles.
It's a tank, isn't it? We saw the tweets. We all saw the tweets. They think there's a tank in there.
I don't think
think there is a tank. There is an Abrams tank that is going to be more indestructible than Big Bertha, faster than the ATV, more mean than a pair of akimbo dual stick shot Maggies.
I was thinking when you unlock it and you see these little laptops. I was thinking logically here. You know the recon bounties that you can get, and you sit there for like 10 seconds and you get rewarded. Yeah. I was thinking you unlock it, which takes a lot longer, but you go in, you have to sit there and guard it almost, and then
that's really
after
cool.
like 30 seconds, not 10 or however long, once you've guarded it, you're rewarded with something bigger, whether it be stopping power, dead sounds, a weapon. You know, what a loadout box, whatever.
Wait. So that's cool. You're saying that you get you do a bounty, you get given a code, and you have to take that code to a telephone or to the bunker.
Something that's linkable.
Phil, what's inside the bunker?
Well, whatever you have to guard. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Who cares? I just want to
Ross.
shoot people and win the game. I don't care about some stupid secret bunker. It means nothing to me.
Chance, I kid you not. Every time I play with Miles,
who cares?
Every time he's like, "No, let's go and check out the bunker. Let's go and check out the bunker."
Why?
I honestly,
terrible spots. You go in there and then you get C4'd and RPG'd and people camp. Like, the bunker spots are horrible. I hate the bunkers. I don't care. I just want to play.
All right, Chance. So this next question is for you, mate.
Sweet.
I don't know who wrote this. I don't know who sent this one in. I honestly have a crush on Momo, but who was your first crush ever, celebrity or not? Shame on you.
That you're asking me this on an official CDL podcast who my first crush was?
I've got my answer ready. Let's go, bro.
My first crush, I do not know her last name. In kindergarten, her name was Courtney. And during nap time, I always try to scoot my blanket a little bit closer to hers. And then she moved away to Montana or something during the middle of the year. It was middle of the year, and then she was just gone. I was like, "Yo, teacher, what happened?" Yeah. So anyway, that was my first one. I'm pretty sure, at least.
I like that.
I think that's right.
That's good, Phil.
Yeah.
What was your first crush ever?
I'm thinking a proper crush. And I'm not trying to discredit
What's
chances,
improper?
but
What?
I didn't
That
have
was
one
my
at that
first
age.
love.
I wasn't, I was more into playing with my trucks or in the sandpit at that point. My first real crush that I remember was Cheryl Cole.
Cheryl Cole?
With Cheryl Cole, yeah. She was...
I gotta Google this. Hold on.
She was and is still a total babe.
Cheryl Cole. She was from Eubanks.
No, Girls Aloud.
Girls Aloud. That
The
was
Geordie
so
accent did
cool.
it for me, and now the Geordie accent I hate.
No offense to all the Geordies out there listening to the show or the Newcastlers, but Cheryl Ann Tweedy, born 30th of June 1983. There you go.
Yo, I respect that. That's a good
No,
one.
she's a babe. No, she's a total
Yeah,
babe.
she is. No.
From especially as a young British male, Phil, I can see why that.
Yeah, I'm with
that
it.
got you going. Mate, I don't know. I'm trying to think who my actual first crush was, celebrity or not, but I can remember the first time I was aware of mechanical. There's a mechanical change that we all go through as young men, where things change.
We didn't have to talk about this. We just wanted to name.
But I'm
Miles.
saying. I'm going to say it now. I've started. I'm going to finish. I remember the very first time that happened, and I was watching Aladdin, and I think it was Jasmine who got it going. And I was just like, wow, what is this? This is new. This is interesting. And I think, friends, that is where we're going to end this show. Massive thanks to Clayster again for being on. You boys have been a treat, as per always. And we really hope you have enjoyed the show. Don't forget to shoot us questions for Miles' mailbag. We will answer almost anything you send in. The questions answered on this show, clearly, we will literally answer anything you want. Don't forget, friends, the Florida Home Series is coming up soon, and it's going to be a humdinger. Have I already said thanks to Clay? I said thanks to Clay. He's a good boy. We love him very much. All right, friends, take care. Wash your hands. Don't touch those faces. Watch Aladdin.
Shout out Jasmine.
Shout out Jasmine.
No, we won't back down. Gonna fight till the end. Our honor comes first every time.